Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. You're sitting across from her. She's smiling, laughing, her voice is sweet, her eyes are soft. She plays the role well, almost too well. But deep down, something gnaws at you. A strange sense that what she shows is only the surface. That beneath her smile are pieces of stories she'll never tell. And your instincts whisper that she's lived many lives before this one, with many men, each leaving traces she tries to bury. The question is, how do you know? How do you pierce through the mask to see the truth? Because women are masters of performance. They will never hand you their history in plain sight. You have to catch it in the shadows, in the subtle things they can't completely hide. That's where the truth lives, in the secret clues. Before we dive in, let me tell you this. What I'm about to reveal isn't meant for everyone. Most men live blind, happy to ignore what's right in front of them. But if you're the kind of man who refuses to be deceived, if you're the kind of man who would rather face the uncomfortable truth than live a sweet lie, then stay with me. Because by the end of this, you'll know how to read her like an open book. Subscribe, and in the comments, share a moment you suspected a woman wasn't who she pretended to be. Your story could be the warning another man needs to save himself from the same trap. Clue 1. Her eyes have seen too much. Eyes are windows, they say. But what they don't tell you is that windows can also be stained glass, carefully painted to hide what lies inside. A woman who's been with multiple men often carries it in her gaze. It's not the innocence of curiosity or the playful spark of youth, it's something heavier. Her eyes don't linger with wonder, they measure, they calculate. She doesn't look at you like you're a mystery to be unraveled. She looks at you like she's seen this scene 100 times before. Watch her closely. When you speak, does she listen with the freshness of discovery, or does she nod along like she already knows where your words are going? That's the mark. The depth of experience can make her seem wise, but it also strips away the purity of novelty. And when she looks at you, if you feel more like a page in a book she's already read, rather than a brand new story, that's not imagination. That's history speaking through her. And then there's the absence of wonder. Innocence can't be faked for long. A woman who has lived too much loses the raw, unfiltered reaction to simple moments. Compliments slide off her like rain on glass. Romantic gestures don't ignite fire, they spark a faint practiced smile, because she's received them all before. Different men, same patterns. And her eyes, though they might try to dance with joy, cannot fully hide the weight of repetition. If you pay attention, you'll see it. A woman untouched by too many experiences reacts with awe. She gasps at small surprises. She glows with gratitude at gestures of care. But the one who has lived through countless men's affections treats the extraordinary as ordinary. That lack of wonder in her gaze, that tired recognition, it's the silent confession she'll never speak aloud. Clue 2. The way she speaks of men without respect. Words are sharper than knives, and no matter how much a woman tries to dress them in sweetness, her words reveal the map of where she's been. Listen not just to what she says, but to how she says it. A woman who has been with multiple men often shows it in the casual tone she uses when speaking about men. She doesn't carry reverence, she doesn't hold mystery. Instead, there's dismissal, mockery, sometimes even contempt. She's too familiar, too unbothered. When a woman hasn't been passed from one man to another, there's a certain reverence in the way she speaks. Men are still larger-than-life figures to her. She sees strength, mystery, power. But once she's crossed through many men, she no longer views them as rare. She begins to see them as ordinary, replaceable, disposable. And that's when you'll notice the subtle digs in her voice, the careless way she brushes off masculine traits. She no longer values them because she's consumed too much of them. Her conversations reveal it all. When she casually talks about guys as if they're interchangeable, when she laughs at things men pride themselves on, when she casually recalls stories of friends or acquaintances without ever sounding impressed. That's not innocence, that's saturation. She's been drenched in male energy to the point it no longer moves her. And that's not something she can fake. It leaks through every word. Pay attention when she speaks of relationships. Does she speak of men as if they were chapters in a book she couldn't even bother to finish? Does she roll her eyes at stories of commitment, or talk about love like it's a game she's mastered? That cynicism doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from repetition, from too many entries and exits. And if you're sharp, you'll hear it. The truth is, respect is born from rarity. When something is rare, it is valued. When something is overexposed, it becomes common. A woman who has been with too many men cannot keep that respect intact. And no matter how much she tries to dress her words in politeness, the absence of reverence will betray her. Her tongue will speak the secrets her lips would never admit. Clue 3. Her body language tells stories. Her mouth never will. You can lie with words. You can paint yourself as innocent, pure, untouched. But the body? The body is the one witness that never forgets, and it tells the story whether she likes it or not. Watch her movements. Does she carry herself with the reserved grace of a woman untested, or with the looseness of one who has been handled, touched, explored too many times? A woman who has not been with many men often carries a natural shyness in her frame. She's delicate with her posture, cautious with her closeness, as if intimacy is still something sacred. But the one who has been around carries herself differently. She moves with a practiced ease, a comfort in proximity that doesn't belong to innocence. When you sit close, she doesn't stiffen. When you touch her hand, she doesn't flinch. Not because she's deeply into you, but because she's been here too many times before. Notice how she sits, how she leans, how she positions herself. If her body language feels scripted, as if she's performed this scene 100 times with other men, that's a sign. When she locks eyes too smoothly, when she leans in without hesitation, when she mirrors your movements flawlessly, that's not raw chemistry. That's experience playing out through reflex. And then there's the touch. Innocent women touch sparingly, and when they do, it carries weight. But the one who's lived through countless encounters touches carelessly. She might place her hand on your arm mid-laugh, lean on your shoulder like it's second nature, or brush past you without thought. It feels casual, but that casualness is the mark. Because for her, intimacy is no longer charged with meaning. It's routine. It's muscle memory. Her laughter too. Watch it. Does it rise from a shy place, or does it burst out with the practiced ease of someone who's used it to charm 100 men before you? Body language doesn't lie. Even if her words are polished, her movements betray the repetition. The woman who has lived through too many hands, too many moments, too many stories will always carry a looseness in her presence. A looseness that whispers what she would never confess. Clue 4. Her standards shift like sand. There's a pattern every man must learn. When a woman has been with only a few men, her standards are usually steady, almost unshaken. She knows what she values and she clings to it. But the woman who has been through many experiences, many connections, carries a shifting standard. One moment she claims to want stability, the next she craves excitement. One day she speaks of loyalty, the next she shrugs at betrayal as if it's part of the game. Why? Because too many men have left fingerprints on her expectations. Each man shifted her lens. Each relationship taught her to compromise, to adapt, to bend, until eventually nothing feels absolute anymore. So when you ask her what she wants, her answers sound vague, unstable, ever-changing. She no longer has a firm ground to stand on because her desires have been stretched, twisted, reshaped by too many encounters. Notice the contradictions. She might tell you she hates liars, but then laugh about how she stayed with one for years. She might speak of wanting a gentleman, yet admit attraction to chaos. She wants devotion, but she flirts with attention. Her standards don't form a straight line, they form a messy web. That web is not random. It's the evidence of repetition, the proof of too many stories lived and abandoned. And the greatest giveaway is this: she no longer speaks with certainty. Innocence gives answers with clarity. I want this, I value this, I won't accept less. But the woman who has wandered speaks like a drifter. I don't know, it depends, we'll see. Those words may sound casual, but they hide a history. A history that taught her that absolutes don't exist when you've tasted too much. Clue 5. Intimacy feels mechanical, not sacred. Pay close attention here because this is one of the most telling signs. A woman who has not been with many men treats intimacy like a threshold. Crossing it carries weight, hesitation, significance. It feels like something rare. But the one who has crossed that line too many times no longer carries the same weight. Intimacy becomes routine, an act stripped of its sacredness. You'll notice it in the way she approaches closeness. There's no pause, no deep hesitation, no trembling anticipation. Instead, it feels almost procedural, like a script she knows by heart. The way she kisses, the way she responds to touch, the way she moves, it all feels too smooth, too familiar, as if she's performed this role countless times before. Her reactions are polished, not raw, not unfiltered, but perfected through repetition. She knows exactly when to sigh, exactly when to laugh, exactly when to lean in. And while another man might mistake that for passion, the truth is harsher. It's performance. Performance sharpened by experience, not born from pure connection. The sacredness is gone. When you look into her eyes in those moments, you won't find the spark of rarity. You'll find a calmness, almost a detachment, as if this isn't the first time or the fifth or even the 10th, as if this is just another scene in a long line of rehearsals. And here's the part most men ignore. True intimacy, when it's rare, carries awkwardness. It's not smooth, it's not perfect, it's messy, vulnerable, real. But when she moves through it with mechanical grace, when everything feels too perfect, too easy, you're not witnessing innocence. You're witnessing repetition disguised as passion. Clue 6. She cannot sit still in silence. Silence is uncomfortable for many, but it's also revealing. A woman who has not drowned herself in countless experiences often carries peace in silence. She doesn't need to fill every gap with noise, every pause with distraction. But the woman who has lived through many men often struggles here. She fears silence, because silence reminds her of what she's lost, what she's hidden, what she tries to bury. Watch what happens in quiet moments. Does she lean into the calm, or does she scramble to fill it with chatter, jokes, or her phone? A restless woman, one who cannot be still, is often a woman carrying too many ghosts. She's haunted by memories of others, by experiences she cannot erase, by shadows of men who came before. And in silence, those ghosts come knocking. That's why she avoids it. She'll tell you she just doesn't like awkward moments. But the truth is, silence feels awkward to her because she's never known it in its purity. Her past has been filled with noise, with chaos, with endless cycles of validation and attention. So when stillness comes, it feels foreign, almost unbearable. And that inability to sit in silence reveals something deeper. She's addicted to novelty, to stimulation, to constant interaction. That addiction doesn't come from nowhere. It's the residue of repetition, the sign of a heart that has been stretched across too many bonds. A woman untouched can sit in silence and glow. A woman who has lived too much cannot. Clue 7. Her future feels like a mask, not a vision. The final clue is often the clearest. Ask her about the future. Listen to how she paints it. A woman who has not been with many men often speaks with purity, with clear vision, with hope untarnished. But the woman who has lived through many men wears the future like a mask. She says the right things, but you can feel the hollowness. She might talk about marriage, about commitment, about settling down. But as she speaks, it feels rehearsed, like lines she knows she's supposed to say, not dreams she truly believes in. There's a disconnect between her words and her energy, because deep down, her history has shaped her. And that history whispers that stability is not in her blood. Her stories of the past are filled with chaos, yet her words about the future are filled with calm. That contradiction is the mask. She has learned to say what men want to hear, but she cannot embody it. And if you're attentive, you'll feel it. Her promises lack conviction, her visions lack weight, her tone lacks innocence. A woman with limited history speaks of the future like a blank canvas. A woman with too many histories speaks of the future like a cover-up. And when you hear that mask in her words, you'll know. You'll know you're not listening to truth. You're listening to survival. So here we are, 7 clues, 7 shadows she cannot fully hide. You will not find them in what she admits. You will not hear them in her polished words. You'll find them in the cracks, in the silence, in the rehearsed motions and hollow promises. And once you see them, you cannot unsee them. Most men don't want this knowledge. They'd rather live blind, content with the story she feeds them. But not you. You came here because you'd rather face the cold truth than a comfortable lie. And that choice alone sets you apart. Remember, the clues aren't meant to breed paranoia. They're meant to sharpen your vision. to give you the eyes that see beyond performance, to protect you from wasting your energy on a mask instead of a reality. Because every moment you spend blind is a moment you give away your power. And the one thing you must never do is hand over your power. What are your views on this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I will personally read all of your comments. And if you seriously want to level up in life, don't forget to show some love by hitting the like and subscribe button. Stay strong. Until next time.